Welcome to Dark Docent. My name is Jake. Join me as I guide my friend James down the paranormal rabbit hole, attempting to prove the authenticity of a new case each week. Today's case, the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel.
Well, I think that was the best ever. And I don't think it could be better.
I think so. I think that was the best one.
It was one uniform sound.
That was, and the echo off that? Oh man, it was brilliant. I was really happy with that.
Crisp.
All right. I got a story for you, James.
What's it about today?
Okay. This one might test what you think of me.
Test what I think of you.
I know it's low already, but we can get lower.
Ooh.
Okay.
Let's not wait around then. Let's get right into ruining this friendship.
We were on it and we conceived the idea of this podcast. Let's go. We are in Würzburg, West Germany, 1973. Anneliese Michel is a student at the college there. She is known as an intelligent student. She reads a lot, kind of to herself, but Anneliese's character has begun to change. She's become increasingly withdrawn from all sorts of activities. She has become a lot more enveloped in her family's religious beliefs and become a lot more enamored with the religion around her. But in 1973, she begins to kind of sway. Her vision was a little blurry, and she collapses. Anneliese has had a seizure. Now, this is not the first time Anneliese has had a seizure. Anneliese was diagnosed with temporal lobe epilepsy in 1968 at the age of 16. And ever since then, she's struggled with this. She's been on several medications trying to solve this. None have really helped. Lots of medications that she would take would counteract from other medications. She also had several other ailments ever since she was a young girl. Things just aren't on her side. However, her family tells a different story. They claim in her late teens, Anneliese began hearing voices. Anneliese said that she would hear demonic entities speaking to her and seeing them in her bedroom. She also talked about having an aversion to religious objects with no real explanation.
Sounds like she is part Antichrist.
It's not so much
or
that
a possession.
You're on to something. They claimed that Anneliese, with all these voices she was hearing, began speaking in tongues. Her voice began to oscillate with different voices over top of her female voice. One day, her mother came into a room and claimed to see her daughter levitating, and her hands had turned to demonic claws. They don't think that this was just epilepsy. They don't think this was just seizures. They don't think that it was just medical ailments that could be cured by science. They were convinced that Anneliese was possessed by demons.
Are you reading the script for The Exorcist, perchance?
No, I am not. James, have you heard of the Exorcism of Anneliese Michel?
I don't think I've heard of that one specifically, unless that's what the movie was based off of.
It's not what the movie was based off of. This was actually around the same time as the movie came out, but the initial seizures and everything kind of happened before the movie was initially released. It's kind of strange that it happened at the same time, but you'll come to find that this is very similar. And honestly, I wouldn't have brought this to you today if it wasn't at least a little captivating. Because I got some stuff to show you, buddy.
Honestly, I'm pretty excited.
Are you actually?
I want to see an exorcism.
Okay, well, you won't see it, but you'll hear it.
Oh, it'll help me have good dreams tonight.
Give you a little background on Anneliese Michel's family. They had 4 kids and 2 extremely religious parents. I'm talking like Bible thumper to the max. Like they would read their Bibles before bed. Anneliese Michel was a reader, but one of her favorite books was the Bible, like hardcore.
It was definitely a staple in a lot of families, I would think.
It was, and also this is Bavaria, West Germany. So in the 1950s, 60s, different time, religion was more prevalent at the time. And honestly, I think sometimes it does get in the way if someone's having a medical issue. But I don't know what Anneliese was having really at the moment. So in 1975, her parents are convinced that Anneliese is possessed. Doctors won't seem to do anything for her. They've given her several medications. There's a few doctors that just didn't want to prescribe her anything because they didn't know what to really do about it. So they called in 2 priests to their home. Father Arnold Renz and Father Ernst Alt were the ones that provided the service of the exorcism of Anneliese Michel. And they went on to report several mysterious things that are on record as to what happened when they did this. They began reporting that Anneliese Michel had almost superhuman strength, able to throw dressers across the room. They claimed that she would have unnatural physical abilities, like bending her bones back, moving everything kind of wrong and contorted. She was able to twist her legs and arms into positions that appeared physically impossible. She enacted in self-harm, biting herself, tearing at her clothes, and on at least one occasion was reported to eat insects and spiders.
People do eat insects and spiders. Weird people.
They do.
But they do.
They do. Her aversion to holy objects got more violent. She started kind of attacking or violently pushing away anyone who would hold them towards her. The items such as holy water, crucifixes, or any recitation of prayers would cause her to go into a fit. They reported unusual odors. They said that it was a smell that almost smelt like sulfur or rotting flesh emanating from her during the exorcism sessions. These sessions went on for about a year. They did 67 exorcism sessions for this young woman.
Sounds like they weren't very good at exorcisms.
Well, the things with exorcisms is sometimes the demon doesn't want to leave. And it's harder when there's multiple demons inside one person.
Sure.
You got some big eyes right now. I'm just gonna. Do you have any questions, or what are you thinking right now about what's going on?
Well, I don't know a lot about exorcisms.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't even recall if I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
I've seen clips of it. I've seen spoofs of it.
Yep.
This poor girl might have just been having severe seizures, and they're just like, "Oh no, I'll get the exorcist." Maybe that's why it wasn't working. Maybe it wasn't a demon possession. Maybe it was some medical condition.
And honestly, you're onto something there. So the reason you're not far off about all this, Anneliese was diagnosed with schizophrenia. And honestly, I think that had a big part to all of this. But there are some issues with me on what else could be involved, because some crazy shit goes down. First off, here's a picture of Anneliese. Just average looking girl.
Yeah,
Thing,
that is just a photograph of a girl.
Yeah, doesn't seem like anything. Now here's Anneliese during the exorcisms.
She looks like she needs some help. That is just a slightly disturbing photo. Her eyes are pointing in slightly different directions. It looks like there's either blood or sores on her lips, and her nose is pretty flared. Barely even looks like the same girl.
I've always thought that as well.
Someone clearly suffering from something.
Yes. At this point in her life, during the exorcism, she got down to almost 80 pounds. She was severely sick, severely injured because of how much she was banging against the ground and fighting. She broke both of her kneecaps, but somehow still had the strength to fight and do everything she was doing during her possessions.
Well, you did say she suffered from seizures, did you not?
Yes, she did. And I do believe that this is a big part of this. And the whole thing is that I do believe that she obviously did have these medical issues. But I think there was more to it, and we'll get into why. Another picture of her during the exorcisms. This is a 23-year-old girl.
She looks about later 40s in that photo, maybe.
Yeah, she's looking extremely ill. She's extremely skinny. And the exorcisms are still happening at least 1 to 2 times a week. And these are 4-hour exorcisms. And they are an intense process. These priests are like holding her down, power of Christ compels you type of stuff. It's terrifying. Now here's the thing, is they recorded 67 of these sessions, and 45 minutes of those sessions are released to the public. The rest are not.
Did they record all of the sessions?
According to them, they did. But did you know that they record every exorcism that they do?
They, as in these two specifically, or
As in
every exorcism is recorded?
At least most, because there is actually like a vault in the Vatican where they keep record of every exorcism they perform, but it's not released to the public.
The things I would give to see into the vault of the Vatican.
That you don't know what's in there. But one thing we do know is that they have secret records on all the exorcisms that they have, including recordings, journals, whatever. And that's all kind of we have from this case is the journals and recordings of the exorcism. Would you like to hear some of the recordings?
I would love to. I want nothing more.
Okay, I will show you the recordings.
Von wem ist Anneliese verflucht worden? Im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des Heiligen Geistes. Amen. Sage alles.
Ihr Scheißding, oder? Ich vergaß ihn. Ich schreibe ihn aber ohne. Ich bin nicht unrein, no. Ja, der Scheißloch ohne ist es. Ja. Get another than ever. Yeah. Get right. Nein. Nein.
Alles zu sagen im Namen des Vaters und des Sohnes und des
Alle
Heiligen
scheißt euch. Und so schnell wie möglich unter die Leute.
So there's 45 minutes of recordings like that. And there's lots of parts where she's screaming and there's oscillation in her voice where you can hear the girl's voice underneath and the deep grimy voice over top. Stuff like that. It's pretty frightening. I don't know. What do you think about it?
Yeah, that was pretty haunting. Just like it was right out of The Exorcist.
Yes, very much so. But also the Exorcist movie is based on actual accounts of exorcisms. That's kind of what the book was initially written about, is that it's a story based on other experiences they had. The guy took a lot to make the story of The Exorcist.
Right.
So
it definitely does fall in line with that a bit, I would say.
Yeah. And by the time these exorcisms were going on, the movie had been out. So I don't know. Could be poor timing. But I think the recordings are terrifying. When I first heard them, I couldn't sleep. Also, this is a 23-year-old girl that is extremely sick.
Yeah.
And she's making all these noises, screaming, thrashing around, stuff like that. It's haunting. You nailed it on the head with the word haunting.
That's really the only way I could describe that.
If you saw in the recording, she also said in the English dub of the recording, she said we a lot when she was referring to herself. She was saying, we don't like this, we don't want that. And when she was referring to herself, she kept saying we.
Everywhere she goes, I am too.
Yeah, exactly. There's like, it's lots of plural. That's because there were several demons that had possessed Anneliese. And I can list them off for you right now.
They have names?
They have names.
Oh.
Lots of the most famous demons do. The demons that were possessing Anneliese Michel were Lucifer, Cain, Judas, Adolf Hitler, Nero, and Fleischmann.
Got the whole gang there.
Got all-star lineup of demons right
Lucifer himself.
Yes. Now, from the outside, that just sounds like she found all the most popular demons and put them in her.
Yes.
Yes. Now, the one part that makes it interesting, though, is Fleischmann. So the demon Fleischmann referred to Valentin Fleischmann. He was a Catholic priest believed to have roots in Bavaria, Germany in the 16th century. Valentin Fleischmann served as a Catholic priest in Frankfurt. He was a chronic alcoholic. He was excommunicated from the church. He was charged with both assault and murder, and he was basically seen as one of the worst priests in German history. Now, the thing is that he's not a well-known priest. When she said Fleischmann, this was what caused the priest to be like, we know that guy, but it's not necessarily known amongst the populace.
Yeah.
So that's something that everyone's like, okay, well, that's a little strange. You would just know this Fleischmann guy.
Could there be multiple Fleischmanns?
There could have been, but things that I think it was referred as Valentin Fleischmann.
Okay. Oh,
Just like Adolf Hitler, like Judas, they're all referred to by Anneliese in recordings. She does list them off on recording.
Yeah.
And so the Fleischmann part was the part where I'm like, okay, it's like, that's something that it's not well known, and it is something that the priest knew as an evil priest that lived in Germany. Eventually, they did exorcise all the demons out of her, though, for a moment. And then they all just came back in. And she was starting to act all crazy again, like within seconds. And the number of demons kept changing inside of her. Apparently, it was all actually just one demon. According to her, it wasn't all these demons, but it was Lucifer tricking all the other priests. He was just playing a puppet, saying all these other names just to fuck with them. Which is something a demon would probably do.
Yeah, I'd buy that.
Yeah. Now, Anneliese wasn't like this the whole time. There were parts where the real Anneliese did come out and did talk like normal Anneliese, but she was in a lot of pain. Sorry, you want to say anything?
Well, I'm just thinking, I wonder if this could be like a case of like a severe multiple personality disorder going on here.
There's a lot in this sort of thing that points towards a lot of different things. But I could see it since she is a schizophrenic.
I think BPD is a form of schizophrenia. I could be wrong, but I think it is.
I think it's in the same boat, but I mean, also back then, like, we don't know much about our brains now. So back then,
they really didn't know anything.
They really didn't know. So even if someone did say, okay, you have schizophrenia, they wouldn't explain why they acted this way. Anneliese claimed to have a vision. She claimed to have a dream that she was walking with the Virgin Mary. And the Virgin Mary told her, it is okay. On July 1st, you will be rid of this pain. So she thought, okay, if I get through this, I could be like a saint, like being tested. And July 1st, I can relinquish all this and I will get through it. So they kept exercising her. They kept going through, trying all they could to help her. But nothing could help Anneliese. She began to refuse food, refuse water. She wouldn't do anything to take care of herself at all. And on July 1st, she passed away, predicting her own death, I believe, 7 months before. After this, there was an investigation done by the Catholic Church and by the local police department. They went to the family, and the family was claiming, yeah, it was possession, our daughter was possessed. But when a autopsy was done on Anneliese Michel, the real factor of her death was malnutrition. They starved her to death.
It did sound like it was going that direction. She looks extremely malnourished, and he said she weighed 80 pounds at one point.
80 pounds. That was near the end. She was 80 pounds, yeah. So the family was arrested, and so were the priests. And they were put on trial in the next year, 1976. I do have some quotes from Anneliese. She said, one of the quotes of her was, I believe, when she was reaching for help to other people, saying, I am nothing. Everything about me is vanity. What should I do? I have to improve. You pray for me. And her final known words to her mother before succumbing to her deteriorated condition were, Mother, I am afraid. This is a dark one.
Yeah, it's pretty tragic. I find it hard to make fun of anything here.
Here's the thing is that I find it hard to research because I am interested in the paranormal side of it, but also I am terribly hurt by the real side of it.
Yeah.
And I feel bad when I'm like, there might be something paranormal to this, but also I think there is something real to this.
Yeah. Poor girl, very obviously malnourished, suffering from who knows how many different things, potentially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just a tragic, horrible life.
Yeah. No, she had it rough. So at the time of her death, she was 66 pounds, and she died at the age of 23 on July 1st. Her parents and the priests were arrested the next year after an investigation, and criminal proceedings started in 1978. The two priests and her parents were charged with negligent homicide. They were originally sentenced for only 6 months in prison, and the people were in an outrage over that. They thought they should have got much more. I think they were on trial for 6 months to almost 4 years in prison, and people were outraged with just the 6 months prison sentence. But then people were even more outraged because they didn't even serve that, because it got modified to 3 years of probation. This did change the Catholic Church, though. The Catholic Church eventually recanted its earlier claims that Michelle was possessed. Instead, they attributed her behavior to severe mental illness. And I believe those priests were actually barred from ever performing exorcisms ever again. I think in Germany it is now illegal to perform exorcisms, but not internationally. They can still do it.
Right.
Yeah. To this day, there are still ongoing debates. Her case continues to be cited in discussions about the responsibilities of religious institutions when dealing with mental health issues or ethical boundaries surrounding exorcisms. And also, this case had a lot of cultural impact. It had a huge influence on film. She inspired several films like The Exorcism of Emily Rose, Requiem, some documentaries about Anneliese. To this day, this is the most infamous case of exorcism, and it is still debated among skeptics and believers alike of alleged demonic possession in modern history. And that is kind of all I got on Anneliese Michel.
A short story, but a good head scratcher.
Yeah, like,
The thing about mental illness is it's not something you can just plug a couple of wires into someone's head and measure on a scale.
yeah.
And same could be said like with possessions. How can you really know?
There's a lot to it. There's a lot we don't know. With that, do you want to head to conclusions?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. So, to recap, Anneliese Michel, she started having seizures in her teens, and began in her late teens and early 20s began hearing voices and seeing demonic entities. In her early 20s, that's when she fully became possessed. She would contort her body, eat insects, have superhuman strength, throwing things way too heavy for her, oscillating voice with multiple voices when she screamed. She mentioned a defamed priest that not many people knew about that was part of the possession, and she predicted her own death to the day. With all that I've shown you, I do have other photos of the exorcism. There's pictures of her family. There's other pictures of her fighting with her mother.
They're horrible to look at.
What's that?
I said those are horrible to look at.
They're terrifying. They're fucking terrifying. So today, James, on the case of the exorcism of Anneliese Michel, on our scale from 1 to 5, 1, absolute dud. 2, you're skeptical. 3, you're on the fence. 4, you think something's there, but you're not sure. 5, you believe something happened that's paranormal, and you believe it. What are we coming down to on the exorcism of Anneliese Michel?
It's a toss up in between.
Well, you can expand on things if you want.
Yeah,
you know?
I will.
Yeah.
I feel like I spend way too much time actually getting to the number, so I might just throw out the number first and explain after.
Okay.
I'd say I land around 2.5, 2.75.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Why is that?
I thought you would have been absolutely nothing's here. I'm not going to sway your answer.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely like I say 2.5. I think is the where I land here. I mean,
Wow.
well, maybe even lower too. A 2.
Yeah.
Those are creepy recordings, of course, but I think it's just this poor girl with the severe mental illness issues, whether it's schizophrenia, bipolar, multiple personality disorder, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And I think obviously there wasn't a lot known about that back in the day, and parents who didn't know how to deal with it, who are heavily religious.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, the 60 whatever exorcisms weren't enough to cure her of whatever she was suffering from, and she suffered.
Yeah. Yeah.
There are some weird things in there, like you say, predicting the date of her own death.
And it wasn't Alec.
Because part of me was thinking, like, oh, like maybe on the more sadistic side of things, maybe she was put out of her misery that day. Yeah, I don't know. It's a very disturbing story.
It's weird when you get religion involved,
It is.
because I'm pretty agnostic on the idea of it. I don't like organized religion, but like the idea of like an afterlife and something beyond us, I'm interested in at least.
Yeah. And I believe everyone involved had her best interests in mind, but probably wasn't the best way to go about it. But it's hard to say. We weren't living in Germany in the 1970s. So it's they probably thought they were doing what they thought was the best thing for her at the time. They probably did believe that she was possessed.
Mhm.
And those priests were probably trying to exorcise.
Yeah, exercise. Yeah.
They're probably trying to honestly get rid of the demons.
I agree with you.
I don't know about the reference to that lesser known alcoholic priest.
Yeah.
I don't have
Mm.
something for everything, but
Yeah.
I think she was just a poor girl that suffered right until the end.
I agree with you. I think negligent homicide was the right charge, because I genuinely think that they thought they were doing the right thing. I don't think they were actually trying to torture this poor girl. I think that they were raised in a very strict religious household, and people, however your views are, they believed that this was the right way to go about it. They believed that she was truly possessed. And I believe that because she was in this religious household, reading all these Bible verses, talking about all this stuff, this is a huge part of her life. Since she was diagnosed with schizophrenia, like I feel like that infiltrated her disease.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Like
Mhm.
if there is the multiple personality thing going at it, and that's a lot of what she knows, and that's what she's going to have to pull from to say whatever she was saying there in those recordings.
Yeah. So for me, I'm a 3.
Yeah,
I'm right on the fence.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I think I said 2.5, 2.75 earlier, but honestly, it's a 2.
I get it. Yeah. Yeah. No. I guess you said poor girl. That's all. Just a poor girl that was dealt a bad hand.
Yeah, probably not. Well, obviously not the first case, and very likely wasn't the last. And
No.
there's probably stuff that goes on like that still today.
The reason this one got famous is because of the court case. The movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose is actually more about the court side of it,
Okay.
sort of thing. They take this and like it's from the view of the courtroom, and they flash back to like the actual scenes of the horror movie, but it's like in the court talking about what happened, and that's why this one got more famous, because there was actual criminal charges
Yeah.
involved in it.
More in the public light.
Yeah, exactly.
I imagine that's not something. I imagine exorcisms, especially like this, aren't something that the church want just out there for everyone to see, witness, hear, and so on and so forth.
No, this definitely put a black spot on the Catholic Church.
Happened once or twice.
It has happened once or twice. Anyway, I can't get James over the fence this week, and honestly, this is a bit of a darker one, and I do apologize for that, but some of these are going to be kind of dark, so I'm going to come back with the more fun one next week.
It's not always Loch Ness monsters and monkeys.
No, not always that. We got to touch on everything, and this was one of the topics I wanted to bring as a more serious note to a topic like this, that this can be taken seriously. Please follow the podcast, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your enemies. Who cares? James, any words to the wise?
Don't listen to the audio recordings before trying to go to bed.
Wise words from a wiser man. We'll see you on the next one, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you.